So this is your third day, and hopefully you've completed these word problems. The one thing in the answer book is that they don't give the equations for these two word problems. So I do want to make sure that you are able to write the appropriate equation for a given word problem. So I have those answers here. So if you're still having trouble coming up with the equation for a given word problem, then please make sure that you let me know, and so that I can identify that a little bit earlier and can help you out. However, the whole point of this lesson is to focus on the word problems. So even though I wrote the solution for those two word problems, we're actually going to go through them with a little bit more detail. So we have Sanjay, who is 3 years less than 4 times Yolanda's age. Sanjay is 69 years old. Yolanda is Y years old. Write an equation to determine Yolanda's age. So this question is giving us the variable to use. We're going to use a Y, and that's going to represent Yolanda. So for step 1, you can make notes around the text on how you would like to label each part of the problem. So this is essentially the same thing as looking for keywords. It's not showing your equation, but is pointing out operations. So this word is going to tell us a value. So we have 3 years less. When we see the word less, we know that we're going to subtract most likely. And then we have 4 times. So we have a value and another operation. Yolanda's age, which is a Y. And so when you use a multiplication symbol, it starts to become a variable. Let's see, it looks like it's an X. So maybe you write multiplication instead. So you kind of have to navigate whatever's easiest for you. The word is, now this is not always the case, but often it's an equal sign. And then we have a value. So we have some key points in this word problem that will help us make this equation. So if I need to go 4 times Yolanda's age, that's how I got the 4Y. And then I need to subtract 3. So I need to take 3 less than whatever that is. And that should be equal to 69. Now, your step 3 is to solve and check your equation. So if we start with 4y minus 3 equals 69, we're going to add 3 to both sides. So we're left with 4y is equal to 72. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So Yolanda is 18 years old, we think. So let's check. So if we take 4 times Yolanda's age less 3, we want to know if that will give us Sanjay's age. So 4 times 18 is 72, and we end up with an equivalent equation. Okay, let's look at the next example, which was a little bit more tricky. Anything that involves division usually makes us pause. So we have 4 siblings. They split D dollar bills equally. They each take $2 out of their pile to donate to charity. They each now have $6. Write an equation that could be used to determine how much money they had to begin with. Okay, so we're going to make some notes. So we have 4 siblings. That's a value. When you split something, that is an operation. So this is division. D is your variable. And then when you take something out, This is subtraction, taking $2 out, which is a value. And the word have is implying that this is what you now equal 6. So we have to take our dollars, we have to split it between the 4 siblings. Then they're going to take out $2, and then they'll have $6. This is kind of how it's broken down. So now we have to solve it. We just want to figure out how much money did we have. So I'm just going to write it down. So we have to do inverse operations. We're going to add 2 to both sides. So we're going to be left with a quarter of the money that I had is equal to 8. Multiply both sides by 4. So I can figure out the total dollars would have been 32 total. So let's check. So if we take 32, split it between 4, and then take away 2, and it is balanced. Okay. So for your examples to work through, you have some just warm up, let's solve equations, and then you've got word problems. And with the word problems, really focus on writing that equation. Like almost give yourself a mark for having the equation right, and then give yourself another mark for solving it correctly, and then give yourself a third mark for verifying or checking your work. So these are some of the key things. So for each one, you should really be looking for 3 key components for a word problem. And those are your 3 steps. Do not forget units. Very important, because you need to know what you're talking about. Are you talking about money? Are you talking about grams? Are you talking about meters? What is it that you're talking about? Communicate that. Okay, lots of word problems, because it's one of the hardest things to do. And then anytime that we have questions, we'll bring those up in the Zoom meeting. Now the last thing that I've included, I didn't put this on your schedule for things that you have to complete, but it is one of those things where if we are finding that we're completing these other questions at a near perfect completion, then it's really important to continuously challenge yourself. Of course, I would expect you to use a calculator for these questions if you want. And then grade 7s, you guys will have a lot more challenges with the fractions when there is multiplication and division, which in this case, it's all of them. But you can ask me about how to calculate the fractions with your calculators, and I can give you some tips on that. But you would definitely be able to complete all the decimals, because nothing is changing with the process. Everything is very consistent. We just need to apply our fraction operations to that process. So there are some on here for you to try. I think they're great. Of course I do, right? And then you have day 4, which is to complete the review booklet. And then it says that it's a unit test, but really it's more of a how are we doing so far? Because we're not really doing tests, but I do want to see how you are doing with understanding these key concepts. And then we'll decide where we go from there.